All right, we're here. This is the mood today. I mean, it's been rainy here in Oklahoma City. It's just what an awful weekend of football here in the whole entire country. I'm Preston Poole. That's Tyler Adams Teabag. Follow us on X at Preston Poole 405 at Tyler's Takes. Follow the pod account as well at Unadvised Pod. Yeah, it's look, the weather outside here in Oklahoma City represents the moods that will be shown on this show today. Doom and gloom, I assume. So it's been a hell of a weekend, right, T-Bag?
I kind of like the weather today. One, we just deserve it as a state. We don't deserve any sunshine today. And two, in a day where you just want to be sad and depressed all day, I like to lay down on my couch sad and depressed with dark clouds and
Yeah.
cuddle up in my blanket and just think about life's issues. And I got a lot of issues right now, Preston. My personal life, my work life, and all that, it's going great. Like, I got no complaints about that. But football, which is the only thing I really care about. Like, football is really the only thing I kind of care about in this life. That is not going well at all currently. And I know we're about to dive into all of that because we got a OU fan and you, an OSU fan and me, a Chargers fan and you, and a Bears fan and me, and 0-4 this week.
I combined 0 wins this weekend by all the teams we root for. So a lot of doom and gloom. Let's go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off. I in the description I put State of the Union for Oklahoma State. We'll start with what happened down in Norman. Oklahoma loses to Tennessee 25-15 in a game, T-Bag, that it didn't feel like 25-15. It felt like 70-3 for basically the whole entire game, and that's just because and this is a podcast, so we can use a little bit more colorful language. I would never say this on air, but Jackson Arnold, quite frankly, was just shit last night. I mean, that's the only way to put it.
He was really bad. So I kind of missed the first quarter because walking out of Boone Pickens Stadium, and I went straight over to Eskimo Joe's to do a hit with Gideon and Robert. I hijacked it. I don't think they wanted me on there, and I kind of feel bad waking up this morning because I was really drunk, or not really drunk, but I had a few. I feel bad for hijacking it, but I had to do it. So I kind of missed the first quarter of the OU game. And so whenever I finally get to the bar, Jackson Arnold fumbles. He throws like a backwards pass.
In all fairness, the backwards pass did appear to go like half a yard forward. Still, I get it. It's like a reviewable thing where you can't really change the call on that. But yeah, it was just terrible.
And I remember saying, I looked over to my buddy, and I remember saying, I said, I guarantee Michael Hawkins is about to come in. I was like, I know what's been said. I know I've watched all of OU games so far. I was like, and I told him, and I was like, Michael Hawkins is about to come in. Sure enough, Michael Hawkins comes into the game and it brings a spark. I mean, to a degree. I don't know if it was enough to like change my opinion on this offense. I mean,
it was like, clearly better than anything that was happening before then, for sure.
That's what it changed my opinion, I guess, a degree, but that's really about it. Yeah, I mean, it was just all around bad offense on the.
And the thing for me that just really gets me is Seth Luttrell in his post-game interview with the media said, these are easily fixable problems. Then why the hell haven't you done it? You can't go out as the offensive coordinator at the University of Oklahoma in a post-game where your team got lucky to score 15 points. They got absolutely lucky to do that last night against Tennessee and say, oh, all these issues are fixable. Michael Hawkins, who is a very fast player, right? I think we can all agree on that. Took a 3-step drop last night and was being hit by a defensive lineman. That cannot happen. And you can't come out and say that these problems are easily fixable.
If they were like you just said, if they were fixable, wouldn't you've already fixed them? You know?
Exactly.
Like I don't get it. I think it comes down to so many things with this offense. Play calling, is up there, obviously. Injuries has a lot to play with it. Offensive line is just hot ass everywhere in the state. I mean, if you combined OU and OSU's offensive line, I still don't think they could run block. Like, if you got the best from OU and the best of OSU, they can just combine their best 5 offensive line, I still don't think they could run block. I think they're that bad at both schools. Uh, you can't run the ball, and they still try to run the ball. Um, the wide receivers just haven't been what we thought they were going to be. Just
Which
every
there were a couple that made some good catches last night. I'll give them that.
yeah,
Whenever the throws were
we
there.
would have thinking this might be the best wide receiving core in the country, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
And I know Nick Anderson is, you know, obviously hurt. Angel Anthony hasn't been 100%. Farouk's out. I know all that. Jaden Gibson, but nonetheless, like it's just not has been anything to get excited for. I mean, we can talk about the defensive side of the football. Our guy Trace Ford just had a monster day.
Outstanding game. Yeah.
Probably his best game as a Sooner.
Yeah.
Forcing the fumble was in the third quarter.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
he had a great day. I mean, prayers to Kendall Dolby. That sucks. I mean,
That was just. Oh, it was awful.
I never saw it. I don't want to see it. I know it
I don't
happens.
like watching that stuff, so I didn't look at it either. But he dislocated his ankle. A lot of people thought it was a broken leg, which, I mean, from what I heard from like my roommate who watched it, because you know he'll watch that type of stuff. It did not look good. Obviously, was not good. Dislocated ankles. So, but you can't sit here and say much bad about the defense, right? Because the
No,
defense went out and look, I get that Josh Heupel came out and said, you know, we kind of changed the gameplay in the second half to run the football, but don't you kind of think, Teabag, if he also probably wanted to do that because Oklahoma was getting after his quarterback? And look, Nico's a great quarterback, but in that first half, he wasn't the guy that he was built up to in the rest of the games, right?
I think if Tennessee wanted to win that game by more, they could have.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I agree. But I think Oklahoma's ability to kind of slow him and do some stuff on defense in that first half, probably Josh Heupel was like, we're on the road, his first road start. There's no need for me to just try and have him sling it downfield because this game is still close enough right now that if he happens to throw an interception and they run it back for a touchdown, this is a one-score game.
Yeah, Heupel definitely played a little bit more on the conservative side. I mean, I liked his game plan going, you know, throughout the game and stuff. I don't think the game was really ever unquestioned.
No,
Once they got a 12, it felt like once the game went 12-3 and it was two possessions, it felt like it was over. You
yeah.
know,
It was
12-3
kind
lead,
of
it felt
going
like it
back
was
to
over.
when Lincoln Riley was head coach. If, you know, a team got up by 14 points, you're sitting here like, well, the offense is going to keep scoring, but the defense is going to keep letting them score. So it's going to be tough to get in this ball game. And it was a little bit different where the defense is doing their job. The offense just could do absolutely nothing.
It's crazy the 180 we have taken in Sooner football over the last 5-6 years. With it used to be just like you said, the defense you could just never trust, and now it's the offense you can never trust. And you know, it's one of those things where there's so much we can get into with this game, Preston. I know we only have so much time. I guess we could go unlimited if we want to, but we're obviously going to break down a lot more on Tuesday and probably have some more rational, you know,
Yeah.
normal thoughts on
Still
everything.
fresh on the mind right now. Yeah.
But there's just so much we can get into. You know, Brent Venables, Seth Luttrell, you know, Dylan Gabriel. You know, letting him walk. Uh, and I'm going to say this, Preston. Seth Luttrell is coaching for his job the rest of the season. And Brent Venables isn't coaching for his job; he's coaching for the hot seat.
Yeah.
He's coaching whether or not he's going to be in the hot seat going into next year. So there's just, I think, I next week is going to be interesting, man. When they go to Auburn, Auburn's not good. They're not. OU should win that game, even with their pathetic
Yeah.
offense. They should win that game. Auburn's not good at all. I'm not going to be shocked if Auburn does win, though. You know, because
You can't be because
yeah,
look, right now, all it takes to beat Oklahoma right now, it seems like, is 21 points. That
yeah,
game, holding Tennessee to 25 points, you should have been able to win that football game if you're Oklahoma, if your offense is just competent. All right.
yeah.
And that's, I mean, what does competent look like? Able to run the ball, you know, a little bit, able to complete passes a little bit better than you know what you're doing. So it's just I've for me, I'm 28 years old. I've been watching Oklahoma football for I'm obviously not 28 years, since probably a little after the year 2000, and this is the worst offensive game I've seen in my lifetime. It was just disgusting.
It was terrible on all facets. It did not look like it was the University of Oklahoma out there playing football in the
Yeah.
slightest. And I I get I want to say I don't know what to do next if you're OU, but obviously the answer is Hawkins this week. I mean, right? It's got to be Hawkins
Yeah.
this week, right?
Yeah.
It
No,
has to.
I mean, you can't just say, all right, well, we pulled you out, Jackson Arnold, after what, somewhere in the second
His body
quarter.
language too.
Yeah.
Jackson Arnold's body language was not good.
Nothing about last night for him was good. Let's just put that out there right now. Nothing about anything that happened in between those white lines and, maybe outside of those white lines was good from him at all last night. And sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes you get a 5-star quarterback and he turns out to be a dud, which through 5 games now he's played, it's increasingly look like maybe he might be a dud,
The
right?
Arizona game's the best game he had. He had 3 interceptions.
Yeah. Well, exactly. He's fumbles the ball, turns the ball over too much. It just gets a little too antsy in the pocket. I mean, once you saw Michael Hawkins come in there, he didn't look so antsy in the pocket. He was able to roll out, right, look downfield, find something downfield, use his legs if he needed to. And when you see Jackson Arnold do that stuff, he just seems like he gets too antsy and just ends up getting sacked or something like that. And plus that goal to go situation where they got the turnover and they had it on the 5-yard line. The one thing that you cannot do on the first play of that drive is fumble the football. You shouldn't fumble the football at all that drive. You should at least end up with a field goal at that point, right? That is a for sure made field goal. And you go down there and you just fumble the ball falling on your own player. I mean, that was the epitome of last night, that one play right there.
If Ethan, I mean, it's one of those things where Ethan Downs did everything right securing that football for a majority of college football teams, but with this college football team, he's got to take the risk and just scoop that up and try to score.
Exactly.
He's got to take the risk of maybe not getting the ball and trying to score there because that's where the offense is at this point.
Yeah, it's not good. I'll tell you that. It just, and by the way, I saw a lot of the Dylan Gabriel stuff. Dylan Gabriel wouldn't be any better with this offensive line. I mean, marginally better, maybe.
He might have been enough to win last night, holding them 25 points.
Maybe. But I can't sit here and confidently say that if Dylan Gabriel was still the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, last night would have went incredibly different for the Sooners, right? Maybe they score another touchdown and Tennessee doesn't take their foot off the gas.
That's a fair point.
They did.
That's a fair point.
But, I mean, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable sitting here and saying, oh, if Dylan Gabriel was still the quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, they would be still undefeated and they would have blown out everybody that they played. Now, would they probably have scored a few more points against Houston? Yeah, I can get down with that. But it's just the offense has just been so bad all season.
I mean, during the Temple game, I tweeted out, I said the offense has scored, but that's about it. And I got into it with an OU fan saying, like, the scoreboard is all that matters. And it's like, it's Temple, dude. Like, what I'm seeing right now with my eyes, it's Temple. They're scoring because Temple is just probably the worst team in college football, if not bottom 3.
Yeah.
They're not good. Anyone could have scored on Temple. But I was like, if they're playing Tennessee, I should go back and quote tweet that guy. I told him, I said, if they're playing Tennessee and they play like this, it's not going to be pretty. And sure enough, here we are.
That's
we've
exactly
seen
what
this
happened
since week 1. I mean,
and let's also remember, and look, I get it. This was preseason, but Al Eschbach said on the Sports Animal that he had heard that Michael Hawkins Jr. was playing a whole heck of a lot better than Jackson Arnold in the scrimmages and all that. And turns out he was probably right from what his sources. So we'll see. I mean, do you think you roll with Hawkins against Auburn, see how he does, and then go from there? Or I mean, because that's kind of the way that I think you have to. Yeah.
And I think almost you have to in order, because I think when you're in that locker room, I think the team probably knows Michael Hawkins is better.
Yeah.
And I think if you go out there and put Jackson Arnold again, it might be maybe morale is not the right word, but bad for morale kind of thing. Like, I think the team probably wants to roll, offense and defense wants to roll with Hawkins.
Yeah, no, I could get down with that. And then Venables saying after the game about the offensive line that basically he's tired of seeing the same old thing. That's a pretty big thing for a head coach to say.
That's a true sign of frustration.
Yeah. And I
That
think
is
that's
expressing frustration.
is that the first sign of frustration that we've actually seen from Brent since he's been the head coach at Oklahoma?
He might have shown some in the 2022 season, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't good. I mean, you can't sit there and watch that game last night and, come on here and pop this thing on and tell people you feel confident about the Oklahoma offense going forward. So it was bad, man. It was just yuck. And the other thing, T-Bag, and we saw it last night, the longest rush the whole night was Javonte Barnes, a 17-yard run for him. What'd they do? They ran to the outside. He got to the edge and cut up field. What'd they do the rest of the night? Just ran it right up the gut, right at the defensive line, and got maybe 3 yards, their longest carry after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the offensive line. It's kind of just as simple as that. They're just not any good at all. They're terrible.
And I don't know if you can scheme different things up to maybe get around that. But you gotta find something. And maybe if it's getting some of the younger guys in that you recruited to come in and just put them in there. I mean, because at this point, who cares, right?
Yeah,
you're not going to be even close to making the playoffs because you're probably going to lose to Alabama. Texas could possibly just blow your doors off is what's going to happen in that, because I can guarantee you they're not going to hold back in the second half like Josh Heupel did. So why not just go out there, throw some of the young guys in, get them some reps against Auburn. Then you have a bye week before you head into Texas. So you'll have 2-3 weeks to get the young guys ready to play Texas. So I would just play the young guys on the offensive line at this point.
I'd play young guys everywhere on offense right now.
Yeah. Why not get them some experience for stuff going forward? Why not?
Yeah. Exactly. There's almost no reason not to. I'm ready for the Bedlam Liberty Bowl this year. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to take a trip. Wait, is that in Shreveport or is that in Memphis? I forget where they play that one.
Memphis.
Maybe we'll have to take a trip to Memphis if they do. If they do it, I'll say this: if they end up playing in a bowl together, we will be at that bowl game.
And I'm gonna get out ahead of this. If they play in a bowl game, there should be no bragging rights from the winner of this one. Because one, both teams sucks. Two, who knows how many opt-outs are going to come from both teams as well. I mean, it might be third string on third string in that game.
Yeah, it'll be bad. But I'll tell you this: we'll go to that. We'll get the boss. We'll submit ourselves for some media passes or something. We will go to that game, and we'll have a hell of a time. I was thinking this during the middle of the game, and then I heard Jim bring it up during football feedback last night. I was sitting there, and I said, you know who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Mississippi State Bulldogs next year? Jackson Arnold. I think that if Michael Hawkins takes the job, he will be in wherever the hell Mississippi Mississippi State is. Yeah, Starkville. He will be the starting quarterback for them next year.
And that's not saying a lot because Mississippi State got beat by Toledo 41-17.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll see. There's nothing outside of the defense, which is we're starting to find out, T-Bag, that this defense is not top 30. It could be like top 15 type defense. Yeah. I mean, the defense is just outstanding.
They're deep too.
Yeah. Which didn't really realize it, but I started paying a little bit more attention like later in the game and who they had out there on defense. They had Peyton Bowen's brother. I forget his first name.
Eli.
He was out there playing cornerback. They had a David Stone got some good run last night. So they were mixing a lot of guys and they were still able to stop the run and stuff like that. So look, the defense is amazing for the Sooners, but the offense is nowhere close to amazing. They're not even the same zip code as amazing right now on offense.
There's just so much we can get into still. I mean, if we want to talk about coaching real quick, just kind of on the grand scheme, it does have to come back to Brent Venables at the end of the day because he is a head coach. He is
Yeah.
the head man in charge. And the thing I fear most about Brent Venables is obviously not recruiting. Obviously not recruiting. Obviously, from what we've seen this year, it's not the defensive side of the football. And I know he's not an offensive guy, so you can't really just like say, "Oh, my fear with him is how well is he handling like the CEO role of being a
Yeah.
college football coach? Because I don't want to because hindsight's 2020. And Seth Luttrell right now just does not appear to be it, that offensive
Well, and
coordinator.
the fact that they didn't do like
And
a nationwide search, they just went ahead and hired within.
how many people say no to the University of Oklahoma offensive coordinator job with a 5-star quarterback, the
Exactly.
number one player in the country at quarterback?
And you have a 5-star running back, the number one running back coming in as well, plus the
And
wide
then one of the
receivers they
best
had.
offensive line coaches in the country. I mean,
Yeah.
this year this doesn't really help this case, but I think his track record is still pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so that's just one of the things where you do need like Brent needs to, you know, not address that publicly, but maybe just internally to himself, just like he does need to take on that CEO role a little bit better than I think he's handling it right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things, check yourself before you wreck yourself because things could go very wrong very fast with the way that that offense was playing and has been playing. So, all right. Well, we'll get more into it. We've already spent 20 something minutes on Oklahoma. We've still got to get to Oklahoma State and some
Mm,
NFL from today. So,
mm.
um, look, I don't think that the problems in Stillwater are as bad as the problems in Norman offensively. But here's the thing: the levels here for the stuff going on at OU, the levels like right here for the stuff
Yeah.
going on
Okay.
at
Yeah. If you put it that
Stillwater.
way, then maybe it's not as bad.
Yeah,
Preston, I don't know where to begin with what we saw in Stillwater yesterday. It was, what it reminded me of with Mike Gundy yesterday,
what's
and
that?
I want to be perfectly clear. Because you got those crazy fans, in the state of Oklahoma, football fans are just nuts and they don't think with their head all the time. I am not calling for Mike Gundy's job in the slightest. I'm not going to call for his job if they lose 4 more games. I want to be perfectly clear on that. Yesterday was just one of the worst prepared I have ever seen Mike Gundy. It reminded me, and I was even like kind of talking about this to the guy, that sits behind me. I was like, you know what this kind of just reminds me of? It reminds me of like a Mike Gundy, like whenever he's coaching in Bedlam, whenever he was, like an underdog at home in Bedlam or something, where he kind of coaches with his tail tucked between his leg.
Yeah,
He makes irrational decisions, and if he doesn't make irrational decisions, he makes decisions where maybe he should be a little irrational at times because he needs to do something to provide a spark. 4th and 2 at the 50-yard line, decides to punt. And I get they have a true freshman quarterback, and you want to pin them, and your defense is playing good. Fine. You need to get as much momentum going on offense as you possibly can, and you had a little bit. I mean, very small offense of rhythm right there, and you decide to punt it on the 4th and 2 from the 50. And then coming out of halftime, I get Alan Bowman did not play good in the first half. I think we're all aware Alan Bowman did not play good in the first half. But to come out and put in Garrett Rangel and feed him to the Wolves for an entire quarter is baffling. Baffling, Preston. I don't know what was going through Mike's head whenever he made that decision and decided to keep rolling with it too. He said after the game it was like a relief pitcher. I can understand if you want to put Rangel in there for a series or something, just let Bowman maybe just watch the defense from the sideline real quick just to see what they're doing. Maybe so you can just take a step back and just be like, all right, what's the defense doing here?
yeah.
I can see that, but to stick with him was unreal. And Garrett Rangel, I like the guy. I mean, everything about him, he seems like he's a good guy. He's stuck with Oklahoma State. He's a junior. He stayed here when he maybe could have transferred out into a smaller school, maybe been the starter or something. But we've seen him play some football. Like all of us have watched Garrett Rangel play football. I mean, he's played 5 or 6 games at this point in the last 3 years. He's never once shown me, wow, like that looks like potential right there. Jackson Arnold has shown me, whoa. Did you see that? Like, did you see that for right there? Like that's impressive. At least Jackson Arnold, like going back to Norman, has shown me that. Garrett Rangel has never once shown me like anything to where it's promising. And just to go out and just throw him in was, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but it might be the single worst in-game coaching decision Mike Gundy's ever made. Because everyone was bringing up the 3-quarterback system, that was preparing like that. They prepared for that.
That was going into the season.
Plan. Yeah. That was a plan going into those first 3 games. In-game coaching position, or I can't even talk right now. Decision that Mike Gundy's ever made. It's got to be up there with one of the worst. It felt like he was panicking, like Gundy was panicking and just trying to find any solution. And then I also want to ask this, because people were saying yesterday, that my buddies, the people around us, when Rangel was saying, because everyone wants to see Zane Flores. No one has seen Zane Flores play yet. Everyone's saying,
I don't even think he's a real player, honestly. That's how little we have seen him. I'm still not positive he's a real player. Yeah,
he's a mystery. One of life's greatest mysteries. At the moment. Yeah. We could probably do a documentary on the story of Zane Flores. And people around were saying, well, obviously they're in practice. They like the coaches know, who they should play right now if they got to bench Bowman. Mike Gundy said himself, Flores is ready. He said his words, not mine. Mike Gundy's words. Flores is ready. Why not give him the shot? Flores has been sitting and waiting for his opportunity. So if you're going to do that, why not? And I'm not saying that would have made things better, because I don't think it would have. And I don't want to say that benching Alan Bowman cost them the game.
Didn't help.
Because it probably didn't, because I think Utah was just better all around, better coach, better players, better everything, more physical, which was also embarrassing. For how well the defense played, they did not play physical at all yesterday, which even when Oklahoma State has a bad defense, at least they'll play physical. Yesterday was not physical. But benching Alan Bowman lost you the game out straight up, because he sucked in the first half of the Arkansas game, came in, played great, led them to a comeback. So we could spend all day on this quarterback stuff. And I want to spend all day on this quarterback stuff, but we got to move on eventually. So those are just kind of my thoughts on it, Preston. I would love to know what you think from your eyes.
So I had this game on like the whatever YouTube TV has, watching it. I'm sitting here just watching. I'm like, what is going on? This backup quarterback for Utah, freshman, has come into Stillwater. He's outplaying Alan Bowman. The run game is non-existent for Oklahoma State. They have one of the best running backs in the whole entire country. And then out of halftime, I'm just looking at my phone, and I hear, and Garrett Rangel in at quarterback for the Cowboys. I'm like, is Bowman hurt? Like, what's going on?
I texted Curtis.
Yeah.
I texted Curtis and said, is Bowman hurt? I was like, no way, they just actually benched the guy. Because that's not a Mike Gundy move. It's just to bench his quarterback like that.
And so I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm starting to think it. I'm like, if he's not hurt, once he comes back in, I'm like, obviously he wasn't hurt. But then I'm thinking, why don't you go Flores? What is it you hear out of Stillwater? All the talk is Zane Flores this, Zane Flores that. He's, like you said, Gundy says he's ready, blah, blah, blah. T-Bag, I don't even know what the hell the kid looks like. Couldn't even pick him out of a lineup. That's how little I have seen from Zane Flores.
Looks like Trevor Lawrence.
It's just, if you have that guy that's all hyped up, throw him out there. Why not? you're losing. You obviously wanted to make a change at quarterback anyways, so you go with the guy that hasn't won you anything.
51% completion for Garrett Rangel's career, 6 for 6 touchdown to interception ratio. It's unreal. And like I said, and Gundy has also admitted too, because if Garrett Rangel is playing great in practice, he also said that's why Brandon Weeden didn't get the shot at first that he probably deserved, because Brandon Weeden wasn't the best practice player ever. But when it came to game time, he had a different switch that made him an elite game day player. And I almost spit my water all over my laptop. That would have just been the cap of the weekend. And so I like Gundy should at least maybe be like, okay, maybe I should just throw Rangel out there or Flores out there. So like I said, we can spend all day on the quarterback stuff. I want to get to two other people on the offensive coaching staff.
Let's do it.
Casey Dunn is terrible, bad. He's been bad since 2020 when he was hired. He's had very good offensive players too, shall I add. He's had Kylan Wallace, Chuba Hubbard, Jalen Warren, Tay Martin, all the guys this year with Ollie Gordon, Brennan Presley. He's had some Spencer
NFL guys,
quarterback, legit NFL guys. He is just not it at offensive coordinator. It feels like I have some stats in front of me. I'm probably not going to read all of them, but I'm going to read off a couple of them because I feel like they're important. I don't need stats with this stuff. My eyes can tell me how bad he is.
Sometimes that's the best indicator is your eyes, yes.
And how apparent it's been for this is his 5th season as offensive coordinator, and it is awful. Do you know, so he's 4 full seasons, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Preston, do you know his best total offense ranking?
If I had to guess, it probably would be in the 30s.
41. Last season.
Yeah.
74th.
Man, I was thinking last season, yeah.
74th in 2020, 77th in 2021, 99th in 2022, 41 last season.
That can't happen at Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State made its brand off offense. Mike Gundy made his brand off offense. Mike Gundy is an innovator on offense. Anyone can say what they want. I mean, at this point, no one denies that Mike Gundy is a really good football coach. And everyone can say what they want about a lot of things about Mike Gundy, fair, fine, whatever. You can't say the guy hasn't been a big-time innovator in offense. He has done things before. Like he's been ahead of the game. He's been very proactive in getting ahead of things. I don't know if Casey Dunn has blackmail on him or what, because I even think Mike Gundy would want something better, because this has to be it's gross. It's bad. And then the offensive line, Preston. I think it all comes back to this. All of it comes back to this. Charlie Dickey was hired away from Kansas State. I think it was in 2019, right after Bill Snyder retired. He was a K-State offensive line coach forever. And it was a fantastic hire at the time, because he made a great offensive line year in and year out at Kansas State. For whatever reason, he has yet to develop any of these guys. There are 6th and 7th years on the offensive line. There are guys that should be – they're my age, Preston. They're my age.
Yeah.
On the offensive line, and he has still yet to been able to develop them to their potential, to the best of their ability. And I get they might be a little limited to they're not full of NFL guys, but the fact that they just haven't improved at all, in fact, they've regressed since last year in the run game, is a joke. I think almost no matter how the season goes, because I still think Oklahoma State can win nine games. I mean, maybe 10. That game in Provo looks a lot harder. Obviously, this weekend in Manhattan, maybe it doesn't look as hard. But after what we saw yesterday, I'm not comfortable in saying Oklahoma State's going to win. I don't think they are. But it doesn't look as hard with the way Kansas State played yesterday. So I think maybe 9 wins. So, it is what it is. I just think at the end of the season, no matter how the season ends up, you might just have to overhaul and just fire everyone on the offensive side of the ball and just restart, man. Bring in
Yeah.
some new faces, some fresh ideas, just anything and I think this would be the perfect time to do it. I can kind of understand last year not doing it because they were returning everyone on the offensive side of the football, and continuity was very important. And I can I can get that. I said last year, and I have not hid my Casey Dunn hatred for 1 second. I mean, I've not been shy, and I don't want to say I hate the guy or anything. Just I hate Casey Dunn, the offensive coordinator, just the offensive coordinator, Casey Dunn. I don't want to be like, oh, I hate the guy. I have been very public about this. I've been very open about this. But I can kind of understand how they want to bring these people back, for this season because they're bringing the whole team back. Next year, you're losing everyone. There's not a better time to clean house on the offensive side of football than this upcoming offseason going into the 2025 season. It's just bad. It's bad. Charlie Dickey has not lived up to the hype at all. The offensive line cannot run block for anything. I keep hearing people trying to blame Ollie for all this. It's like, dude, Ollie's getting hit at the line of scrimmage. Statistically, he is getting hit 0.7 yards after the line of scrimmage, and he's still averaging like 3.5 yards a carry. So he's getting like almost 2 yards after contact every single time he touches the ball. This is not on Ollie Gordon. Could he do a couple things? I'm sure there's probably been some holes and stuff. Sure. If we went and broke down all the film, I'm sure we could find some. Obviously, Ollie Gordon's not playing perfect. But we cannot just blame this on Ollie Gordon. This comes back to the offensive line. They're terrible. Terrible. I hope I spelled that right. Terrible at run blocking. Terrible. Terrible, Shaq. It is the most it's baffling because they weren't last year. Ollie Gordon and the Doak Walker.
They were great. Yeah. They were great.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. I seriously cannot comprehend what's going on the offensive side of the ball. If you would have told me yesterday the defense is going to hold Utah to 22 points, I'd be like, okay, I'd go to that game, already celebrating a win. So I'm like, okay, OC's going to score 23. They can definitely score 23. Nope.
The good thing for the Pokes is they only have to play Kansas State next week in Manhattan at 11 a.m., which 11 a.m. games in Manhattan never go good for opposing teams.
Pull the Band-Aid. I'm glad it's just going to get done and over with.
Sooners will play 2:30 in Auburn, their first SEC road game. So, all right, we spent 20 minutes talking about each school. Let's get into some other college football. How about I need to go back so I can look at this score. Michigan taking down USC 27-24. This was a classic Lincoln Riley game in the fact where the other team got ahead and he just could never really catch up. And I know they tied it up, or maybe they might have even taken the lead there. They did take the lead, I know for a fact, in the fourth quarter. But you just knew once Michigan got the football, they're going to run it right down USC's throat and score a touchdown to win.
So maybe it sounds like maybe I didn't get to watch the game, so I was going at the same time as OC Utah. I saw like the highlights and stuff and saw how Michigan won. And know that they threw the ball like 6 times or something like that.
12 attempts for Alex Orji.
Yeah. So it sounds like maybe Lincoln Riley hasn't figured out the physicality and defensive side of things yet.
No. Khalil Mullings had 17 carries for 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. Donovan Edwards had 14 carries for 74 yards and a touchdown. And then Orji had 13 carries for 43 yards. And
it's a shame Donovan Edwards is on the cover of college football, by the way.
Yeah.
He's not going to be he's not even the premier back this year. He wasn't last year, and he's not going to be this year.
And you thought he was going to be, right? Because he had spots last year for that team where he made some great plays when Corum was hurt. So, but USC not as good as what we thought they were, or maybe Michigan's a little bit better than what we thought they were. How about the Taco Bell Burrito Bowl being played out in Provo, Utah? There's now a Kansas State fan that has to stick a 5-layer burrito where the sun don't shine, which I saw the video of them after the game. They had it like DoorDash or whatever, took it out of the bag, opened the freezer, put it in the freezer, and shut the freezer. And I'm like, oh, that's how he's going to do it, is frozen? Oh, man. But,
BYU tweet. Did you see that?
I did not see that. No.
BYU football tweeted like kind of like the clip. Like it wasn't the final. It might have been the final score, but the caption just said "Live Moss."
That is perfect. Did you watch any of that game? Because it
Yeah.
just looked
So
BYU just beat the
dog,
crap out of Kansas
we
State, basically.
me and all my buddies were at the bar after the game, and we are like, "What do we like tonight?" And someone was like, "I'm telling you right now, BYU plus 6.5. BYU plus six and a
Easy.
half. Easiest bet of all time." And I really did like that bet too. I would have said that. I was like, I like that a lot because I was saying on Thursday, Preston, I was like, BYU is just kind of sneaking along. They're kind of just sneaking along. I think BYU is going to be in the mix for the Big 12 title.
Yeah,
I
they
think they're
look.
a good football team.
Yeah, they looked good last night. Yeah, I agree with you. So they're now in the top 25 after the rankings came out earlier today. So shout out to BYU. Anything else in college football before we move on to the NFL?
Real quick, the Utah fans were awesome. They all of them just were just jaw dropped by like Stillwater and stuff. I think they're expected to come into like a trailer park or something.
Yeah.
And then they were just jaw dropped. We talked to a lot of them, and we had a fireball keg at our tailgate yesterday, which is like a
Oh
family
wow.
friend. It's a family friendly tailgate too.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of like 20-year-olds running this thing. Like no, this is like there's kids and stuff there. And there's a fireball keg, and every time a Utah fan passed, it was funny because it's a mini keg, so we can like
Yeah.
hold it up, and we're like, welcome to Stillwater. You guys want some fireball? And it was really funny because half the Utah fans would be like, yeah, let's do it, and the other half just full on played into like Mormon.
That's perfect. Well, at least they had a good time here. I know the Tennessee fans seemed like they were great in
Yeah,
Norman. I
you,
wasn't
you love
down
to
there,
see
but
whatever because I know Tennessee had a big time show and Utah had a really good show in Stillwater yesterday. You love to hear kind of whenever people just leave the state and they're very impressed about what they saw in
yeah,
Norman and Stillwater.
for sure. I'm also starting a petition to never have another Thunder player at a game in Norman. Just so I can like pin everything that's happened on just that. So, but yeah, all right, let's get into the NFL. We'll be honest, these games were terrible today.
Yeah,
Awful. Awful,
yeah.
awful, awful. We'll just rip this Band-Aid off real quick. Chargers, Steelers. Steelers win 20-10. I won't spend much time on this because Justin Herbert got hurt and was out in like the second quarter. So this game really didn't count in the grand scheme of things. So in my mind, the Chargers are still 2-0 in like an asterisk on the loss. But didn't look good with the terrible offense of the Steelers just doing whatever they wanted, basically at times. So didn't make me feel too good about the team.
3-0 Justin Fields.
Yeah. Hey, I think they got to roll with them, right? I don't think you can just let Russ come back and take the starting job.
Mike Tomlin just has to go what? Let's see, there's 14 games left. He says he goes 6-8 to get that magic 9-8 season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they can do that.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to do that.
But yeah, I think once Herbert's fully healthy, that they'll get back to rolling. But who knows when that's going to be with an ankle injury like that. All right, I'm trying to got some games that just went final that are popping up on here. I'm trying to get those away. Giants Browns. Good to see that the pervert loses. He got sacked a lot today, and they lost to the Giants. That's my one takeaway from this game.
That's bad. I saw John Fanta's tweet. I haven't watched it yet, but I can't wait.
He's probably ticked off, I can assume.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch that one later. That was one of the games where I did not really pay much attention to because
and it was one of those games. It was like, so if you watch Red Zone or I've got the ticket this season, so I've got a couple of games on. Didn't even have that game on. Did not care about it.
Yeah.
You look at that game and I just say that game looks disgusting. I want nothing to do with that game. And turned out to be that way. But Malik Neighbors, great. He caught a couple of touchdowns or good pass. Yeah, 2 touchdown passes he caught. So he had one that was just outstanding. So he looks good there for the Giants. How about the Packers? Beat down the Tennessee Titans, the Malik Willis revenge game. They put up 30 points and beat the Titans 30-14. Your speed, even the
It's
backup.
just
play
they
good
put in
football.
Malik Willis. They put in Malik Willis, and they can. I just had a real life adult tantrum. I just had a real life adult tantrum.
Malik Willis being
I know.
the quarterback for the Packers and them doing good will make that happen to you.
I was. I'm trying to not just lose my mind about this right now, Preston. It is just. I don't know what's more frustrating, like watching the Packers just succeed no matter what, or like OSU just suck. I don't know. We'll get to the Bears here in a second. That's a whole nother level of. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Yeah, I mean, it's just the Packers are just the definition of an organization that's, hey, let's just go in there and play our brand of football. We'll work around it. What we got to do is what we got to do, and they just go in and they do it, and it must be a great feeling.
No, yeah, they're the epitome of they can never do any wrong when it comes to having a quarterback, which is insane. All right, well, let's talk about it. The Indianapolis Colts, who are absolutely terrible, beat the Chicago Bears, who turn out might have a quarterback problem, maybe. What's our verdict on this so far?
I'm not throwing in the towel yet because I don't have a choice, Preston. I had a choice on Justin Fields to throw in the towel. I don't have a choice with Caleb Williams on throwing the towel or not.
363 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now he did throw 2 interceptions, but 363 yards, man, that's not bad.
33 of 52.
Well, yeah, he did throw it, 52 times, but 350 yards.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's necessary. I still am a believer in Caleb Williams. I mean, if I'm being real right here, I still do think he is maybe not the guy like I hoped, but I do think he will be a good quarterback. I think right now a lot of it is offensive coordinator issues. We're in offensive line, just like the problems in Norman and Stillwater. That's what sucks about this football season too, Preston. It's my problem with my 2 football teams. I got 2 football teams and 3 I follow. OSU and the Bears, and then I follow OU football. All of them have the same problems. O-line sucks, and offensive coordinator doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of this whole thing is I watch every football game where I'm like, okay, I need to watch this. I got to talk about it. And it's just the same problems. 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, whatever it was, on 4th and goal on like the 1 or 2 yard line, whatever it was. On third down, they do a wildcat. And then on 4th down, they do a read option. A read option.
Yeah.
And
that was what they were on the 2 yard line, something like that.
It was a 1 or 2 yard line. So yeah.
And they just run that play and they're like, oh yeah, well, if Caleb can't get it, he'll just pitch it out to the tailback, who's going to be covered by like 10 defenders because the offensive line can't stop a cold when it comes to, blocking someone. That was just an insane play call.
I don't know how you just don't slant it right there. Just do some slants. Yeah. Just let one of the wide receivers just find a way to get open and hope and pray Caleb has enough time to make something happen.
Now, biggest thing for me in this game, biggest thing for me real quick, Caleb Williams throws his first career touchdown pass to Rome Odunze, which also happened to be his first career touchdown catch. And Odunze keeps the ball. Are we a little worried that Caleb Williams didn't demand the football because he's more important as a quarterback? Odunze wouldn't have got the touchdown pass if it weren't for Caleb Williams.
They'll split the ball 50-50.
Just cut it right down the middle.
I think they got to. I mean, it's both their first touchdowns. And that's what they got to do. Yeah, man, it's just the same old Bears. I mean, I've had like anxiety about this, about this since the draft. And then once it actually happens, it's like, why do I work myself up for it? I'm used to this pain. I'm used to it. It doesn't even like hurt anymore. It's just like it's like stabbing me, and when I have numbing, I'm numbed up and you stab me. It's like, yeah, I know that's a problem. I know it's a problem, but like I don't feel it. It's bad. When they're going for 2, you got one coach holding up one coach holding up 2. That's another epitome. Everything about it is not good. I still trust Ryan Poles. I don't trust the organization, but I trust Ryan Poles. I don't trust Eberflus.
That was my next question. Is
So
he's gone after this season, right?
yeah. You
Yeah,
got to bring in.
that's
I think you got to bring in like a
the Lions
what's
offensive coordinator, whatever his name is. That's
yes,
who it needs to be.
yes. If they bring
Ben
him in,
Johnson or something like that, I think is
yeah,
his name.
yeah. Please, I would really like that. I would really like that. But yeah, Bears still suck.
Well, there's always next week, right? I don't know who they play next week. I say that for my Chargers, and I think they play the
This
Chiefs next week. So,
Bears
yes.
play. Real quick, because Harry just asked in the chat, they play the Rams at home. So maybe that's the get right game I've been talking about.
Which the Rams just beat the Niners on the last second play. So,
I didn't even see that.
yeah.
Hey, I want to say this too because Harry asked how was Okie State ever in the game in the first half. That's another thing we didn't bring up with the quarterback situation. It was 10-3 when Mike Gundy benched Alan Bowman. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't want to get all the way back into this, but that's one point I want to let out. It was 10-3 when they benched Alan Bowman. It's not like it was 20-3 and the game was probably over and they're like, all right, let's just see what we got.
Yeah.
Very much still a ball game whenever.
And we talked about this before we went on. It was oddly weird how similar both of those games in Norman and in Stillwater were yesterday. Because
Yeah.
I mean, at one point it could have been the exact same score around like the exact same time. So but let's keep moving on with the National Football League. Where were we at? The Texans and the Vikings. The Vikings, I don't know what's going on there, man, but right now they look like one of the best teams in the NFL.
Got this text from Boss Man, who's a Vikings fan, who's a Bears fan. Sorry about your Bears skull. So, and I said, hey, Bears suck. Football sucks. But I was right about my Vikings prediction, so I have that to hang my hat on for now.
Yeah. I mean the Texans were.
I didn't think
Joe
they'd be this
Mixon.
good. I will say, like, I thought the Vikings were gonna be better. I did not think they were gonna be as good as they are right now. Like they look
Pretty good.
NFC Championship contender.
I think it's them and well, really, I think the whole thing's just wide open right now, to be quite honest with you. I think the Packers have played good. I think the Lions have played good and bad. They won today against the Cardinals. We'll talk about that one in here just a
NFC
little bit.
North
But
this year is a beast.
yeah, and then the Bears.
And the Bears.
All right, let's move on now to the Eagles and the Saints. The Saints, one of the hottest teams coming into this game. The Eagles, one of the just I don't know, I would say coldest, but I don't even know if that's the right word to use when it comes to the Eagles. The most team in turmoil, I guess, would be a great term to use for the Philadelphia Eagles. And what do the Eagles do? They score 15 points in the fourth quarter to win the ball game. And they beat the Saints 15-12. So an offense in the Saints has put up over 40 points in the last 2 weeks. They put up 12 this week against the Eagles.
Did Rashid Shaheed get hurt today? Because he put up
no, he had a problem with drops. He just didn't catch anything.
Yeah, he put up a goose egg. Yeah, this is one of the games I was excited for, and we were watching with my roommate's a Saints fan, and it never just glued me to the TV.
It was gross. It was disgusting.
We have a couple of TVs in our living room for football
Yeah.
days and stuff, and so we had the Saints game on, and it just never glued. And I was really excited because I was like, "Oh, this might be a good game." And I mean, it was, I guess, in the grand scheme, 15-12.
Yeah, at the end, I mean, yeah, it was 3-0 heading into the fourth quarter. Yeah, 3-0 heading into the fourth.
It was gross. It was absolutely disgusting.
The Saints scored 9. The Eagles scored all their points in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Saints scored 3 in the first quarter. No team scored again until the fourth quarter, and that's when all the scoring was. So, yeah, that was one of the grosser games on today. How about the Broncos beating the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay 26-7? Bo Nix gets his first win in the NFL, and Baker Mayfield looks human again.
So I got 3 games I would have bet on. I didn't bet today, but there was 3 where I was going to bet on. Decided not to. I just kind of took this week off from gambling. I did take BYU +6. That was really about it, and so I thought I'd just kind of just ride out this weekend. And there were 3 games I was going to bet on. and this was one of them. I really like the Buccaneers in this game, so glad I did not take that one. We haven't gotten to the other two yet. I'll tell you the other two because the other two are a little bit more frustrating that I didn't bet on them. But man, Broncos just came in and just pounced on him.
Yeah.
Bo Nix looked a lot better. Yeah, I mean,
I think the Broncos were up 20
you can never predict what's gonna happen.
yeah, the Broncos were like 20-0 at one point. Before
Yeah,
they were
it was
able
a
to
asking of time from
score.
the start.
Yeah, for sure. Baker's still 25 of 33, so I mean, not like an absolutely terrible day, but he only had one touchdown and had an interception in that game. How about the Panthers,
I
who
wanted to take the stinky plus 5.5 with the Panthers. I love that bet.
would have been an easy winner because the Panthers win 36-22 over the Las Vegas Raiders. The Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, the Red Rifle, whatever they used to call him, I forget. Comes in and saves the day in Carolina, and maybe they're not as bad as what we thought. That maybe their problem was they had a quarterback that was like 5'5". That might have been their problem.
Yeah, Andy Dalton. You can't go back to Bryce Young now. You just can't. Like Bryce Young's time in Carolina is over unless Andy Dalton gets hurt.
His time in the NFL is probably done. To be quite frank with you, his time in the NFL is probably done.
I think he'll get one more chance. One more desperate team
Yeah.
will come.
And maybe he finds a good spot, kind of like a Baker Mayfield thing or a Sam Darnold, for that matter. Maybe the issue is they just need to ship him out to San Francisco, let him hang there, maybe send him to LA with the Rams and all that, and just let him sit for a year or two.
You know what would probably be in his best interest right now, Bryce Young? And I get like when you're a competitor, you don't want to do this, but if you're just talking about like career and like what is your best interest, just embrace being the backup and try to be the best backup you can be, and that way you can just hang around the league for 10 years and just make some good money, get a pension.
Chase Daniels made like $30 or $40 million doing that.
Yeah. I think that's probably Bryce Young's. Yeah, I mean, it's a dream gig.
Yeah. Raiders. Not much to say about the Raiders.
Yeah,
I just don't think they're a very good football team.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Now another football team that is not very good, the Miami Dolphins get beat by the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, down to their third string quarterback after Skylar Thompson gets hurt in that game. Tim Boyle comes in, tries to save the day. Not going to happen.
One of the all-time worst quarterback names, Tim Boyle.
Yeah, Tim Boyle. Yeah,
you just no
can't have that name. You got to change.
It's like literally like a great value Tom Brady.
Yes,
it's like we got Tom Brady at home. Tim Boyle.
That is actually very good. That's perfect. But the Seahawks beat the Dolphins 24-3. I've once again been burned by DK Metcalf and him sitting on my bench in fantasy football. That's 2 weeks in a row now. I don't know why I am just continue to do this, but I know once I put him in my starting lineup, he's going to put up a goose egg. So the Seahawks look good. They're 3-0, and they've played some tough teams. I know they beat the Patriots in overtime last week. And when I say tough teams and bring up the Patriots, I mean defensively. Offensively, the Patriots are not good. We saw that on Thursday night. On the road in New England. They go to overtime and they win that one. So I think the Seahawks are going to be a pretty good team this year.
Yeah, 3-0.
All right, while we're in that same division, we will talk about the 49ers and the Rams as I mentioned.
Was my third bet.
You would have got that one. They went 27-24 over the 49ers. I need to see when this touchdown was scored for them because I look up, they were celebrating. I look back up again a minute or so later, and the 49ers were trying the Hail Mary, or not the Hail Mary, but like the pitch the ball around to everyone. Yeah, lateral and all that. So I need to go back and see when they kicked a field goal with 40 seconds left to take the lead. And so so they kicked a field goal, 40 seconds left to take the lead. So the Rams, I mean, I thought for sure this was a 49ers game, but now you look at the Niners, they're 1-2, and the Rams are now 1-2. That was their first win of the season.
Seahawks. 3-0.
Yeah, you got the Seahawks 3-0.
I mean, this is just one of those games to me, Preston. Like when you're talking San Francisco, it's like I still think they're a really good team. I think there's just like one of those games like where it's like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay just going against each other, and they
Yeah.
just scheme the most craziest stuff up ever. And just it happens with these two teams. I mean, Kyle Shanahan like owns McVay. I think now it's starting to turn to McVay owns Kyle Shanahan. I think it's flip flopped ever since that 2021 NFC Championship game. Maybe with last year.
Yeah.
I don't know what the record was last year, but anyway, it's one of those, it's like Rams Niners historic rivalry and stuff. It's a old saying, like throw the record books out when these two play each other because every game, no matter how good or bad one of the teams are, it feels like it's just always close.
Yeah, for sure. Let's stick in that same division, and we'll talk about the Arizona Cardinals who lose to the Detroit Lions 20-13. My thoughts on this: the Lions are still a good football team, but I think that the Cardinals are still a good football team as well. I mean, Kyler Murray made some great plays. Marvin Harrison Jr. is good. Not a great day for James Conner on the ground, but other than that, I mean, to only lose by a touchdown to a team that has a very good chance to make the Super Bowl if things go right for them. I still think very highly of the Arizona Cardinals.
That hook and ladder to Gibbs, I forgot who.
Oh, that was perfect by the Lions. Yeah,
beautiful. It literally caught, it was a bang bang, like caught it.
Yeah,
like that was a sick play.
How many times do you think they practiced that a week?
See, that's the thing. Do you think that was planned?
Or
do you think maybe he
just
saw the opportunity?
I think that's planned. Because I say that just because the Chargers ran something similar a couple years ago, but Austin Eckler didn't have the hands that Jahmyr Gibbs does, and he just completely fumbled the ball. So I think that is planned, but that's got to be a play you work on, and that you can complete it for you to do it.
Yeah.
Which St. Brown is great, and so is
Gibbs. It was St. Brown that caught it.
So yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown pitched it to him.
I couldn't remember who caught the ball.
But yeah, I still think very highly of the Lions. Final game before we get into tonight's game. I'm trying to find this on my my board here. It keeps moving around. It's the Cowboys and the Ravens. Where'd you go? There it is. So the Ravens win 28-25, but not before the Cowboys decided to make a push there in the fourth quarter. They scored 19 points in the fourth quarter to make that a 3-point game. So the Ravens on the good side of finally getting a win, and then the Cowboys have now dropped 2 in a row.
Yeah, it was a lot like the OSU game yesterday, and kind of the OU game to a degree, where they scored the points to make the game look closer than what it was. Game was not that close.
Yeah.
Ravens went in and kicked ass.
Derrick Henry was back into usual form. He had where's it at? 25 carries, 151 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Derrick Henry today. He was awesome. I'm trying to see CeeDee Lamb as well, what he did today. 4 catches, 67 yards, no score for CeeDee Lamb. So
yeah, I thought he kind of had more of a down game.
Yeah, he also had a fumble at the 5 or so yard line, which wasn't good. So
hey, Jake Ferguson's been playing really good lately too for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, he thought that in that season opener, thought that he had tore his ACL, didn't. So he's good to go, and yeah, he's been great. For the Cowboys. Let's see. All right, how about this game coming up tonight? The Falcons coming off that great comeback win against the Eagles last week, and then you have the Chiefs, who are just the Chiefs. No Pacheco for the Chiefs; he's on the IR with I believe it's a broken tibia or something like that.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on the Chiefs and the Falcons right now? The Chiefs are a 3-point favorite. This one being played in Atlanta.
I like the Falcons. I like the Falcons plus the points in this game. I also think I'm gonna put this out there, Press. I think Kyle Pitts is gonna have the game where we go, wow, look at that.
Really?
Look at that.
I mean,
think
I
today
wouldn't
might
hate
be
it.
the day. I think today might be the day. I think the Chiefs. Man, this game's hard to understand right now because Was last week what the Falcons did going to change the trajectory of what they do going forward? Like, does that take away the Falcons
I
stink that
don't
they've had for so
think
long?
so. I don't think so.
You know,
No, because
I disagree.
and they should have lost that game. If
Yeah,
Saquon
but they
Barkley
did it.
catches that, exactly. But I don't
But
know, man.
that's why I think that though, because
Yeah,
I think with Kirk Cousins, Raheem Morris coming in, and then
yeah,
that happening, and then them winning a game where every single year for the last 20 years before they've lost, it's
that's
like
true.
it, it's just more of a vibe saying than
Yeah.
data and
No,
analytics
I
for me on
mean,
this one.
you're not wrong. The vibes are high for the Falcons right now.
So I like the Falcons plus the points here, and I also, for whatever reason, think Kyle Pitts is gonna have a legacy game. In fact, I'm gonna go put my money where my mouth is right now, and I'm gonna bet Kyle Pitts anytime touchdown.
So this game opened at Kansas City -5. It's gotten all the way down to Kansas City -3. So there's some people out there in the public that are on your side, Teabag, thinking that the Falcons could get this one done, or at least keep it pretty close. So
All right, let's see.
should
Kyle Pitts, where you
should be a good game. I've learned I've been burned so bad by the Chiefs in the past. I know it's and just never pick against them. But I know they're going to lose eventually. I just don't know if that is tonight in Atlanta against the Falcons. But I'm with you. I want to see all the Kyle Pitts I can get, because that's a guy that I've been waiting for 3 years now to just show out like we all thought he could. He's finally getting used the way that he should be as a great tight end.
plus 190, just placed it.
All right. Well,
Anytime TD.
we will keep track of that. Anything else on your mind before we wrap this thing up?
I don't want to have another adult tantrum, so no.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back on Tuesday evening. We'll get a little bit more into the things that happened in Norman. I'm sure there'll be some stuff, when we finally sit down and, we don't have just football being thrown at our faces for a couple of days, where we can sit down and rethink and look back and maybe bring up some other stuff. So we'll do that on Tuesday. We'll talk about Oklahoma State as well, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football as well. So we'll got you covered on all of that. But yeah, we'll be back with you guys on Tuesday evening. Y'all have a good one.